Welcome to destinyglobal.co.uk. Today is the 6th of May, 2021. And as our listeners will know, because they've been sending me texts and email, that I haven't had a video out for 10 or 12 days. Firstly, I must apologize. But secondly, I must say it's because of illness why this hasn't been. But now we're fully charged and ready to go. And we're giving thanks to God for so many things, especially to health. There is something that I want to bring to the forefront before I speak about the topic that my colleague has requested that I speak about. And it's the black population in prison in the UK. But before I do, there was a gentleman that I met a few weeks ago in London who gave me a book, and his name is Jay, and the name of the book is The Rich Are Different by Susan Howatch. I must say, and I must pay this young man a lot of compliment, because this book has everything in it that I desire to be. And as he said, I should be walking in the gentleman's shoe. And that is exactly what I want to do. So thank you again for giving that book. Now, let's look at the black population in prison in the UK today. And I've made a few notes. And hopefully you will go through it with me. But before I go through the notes, I will tell you firsthand of my experience or experiences in the UK, and also many people from the BAME ethnic society that has experienced similar thing. Please feel free to send us your comment and we will try our utmost to get back to you. Now, as you know or you don't know, I came here in the late 69. And the majority of people that I know grew up in the 70s, came from Jamaica or wherever in the Caribbean or wherever they're from in the 70s. Now at that time, the system, the police system was rife when it comes to the sus law. The majority of people know about the sus law. Any police officer could apprehend you on the street, go through your pockets, search you, and even if they don't find anything, some of them would plant things on you just to give you a criminal record. Can you imagine the shame, the disgrace when public people are passing the tube station, the bus station, wherever there's a gathering of people, that's where the police pounce and do these things. And this led to a lot of the riots that took place in Brixton, in Handsworth, in Toxteth, and so on. But these policemen were never brought to justice. And it's only now that Black Lives Matter and the Windrush situation that everyone is starting to look at the police force and see how racist they are. Institutionalized racism. This has been happening to the majority of people from the 60s and 70s, but it was just swept under the carpet. For one example, I know of a friend of mine who the police apprehended him, and when he resisted arrest, those days they didn't have tasers, so they took him in the van, and when he reached the police station, they called a doctor, inject him, and he had a reaction to the injection to calm him down, and he died. There is many cases like that has happened in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the 90s. I wonder what would happen if we should look at those cases again, because there's a new law that you can look at those cases. And I'll just take you through to what the MP, David Lammy, he has done a research on the black population in prison. And I just read a few notes. People from the BAME and minority ethnic background constitutes only 14% of the general population in England and Wales, but make up 25% of its prison population. In 2017, a review led by the MP David Lammy concluded that the justice system was biased against this group and required reform. The United Kingdom has 3 distinct legal systems with a separate prison system in each. One for both England, one for Scotland, and one for Northern Ireland. So the 3 countries which make up the UK has different prison system, totally different to the one in England. Her Majesty Prison is part of the National Offender Management Service, which is the part of Her Majesty's government charged with managing most of the prisons within England and Wales. Scotland and Ireland have their own prison services. The Scottish Prison and the Northern Ireland Prison Service, respectively. The CEO reports of the Secretary of State of Justice and also works closely with the Prison Minister as a junior minister post within the Ministry of Justice. Let me pause there and just expand on what's happening, why a lot of these black ethnic minority group get a criminal record. It is not that they've done anything initially to get a criminal record, but the police force goes out of their way to criminalize them. So, because they know once they have that record, they cannot get certain jobs, they cannot get certain opportunity. And it is linked closely with what is happening in Black lives and what is happening even in the system where a lot of the older generation came here and they had to settle for menial jobs. I want to collaborate everything and link it because I've got a next friend that I can give as an example that he came here from the age of 10 and he has not had a British passport. He couldn't get a British passport. He couldn't get assistant to medical care. He couldn't get assistant to employment. Now, when you're placed in that situation, what can you do to survive? It is very, very difficult to survive in those situations. And that is how a lot of young black youths end up getting a record and end up in the prison system. It is not because they have an intention to do that, because no one sets out in their life to commit crime. I don't agree with it, but I'm saying circumstances, and circumstances also beyond their control, where the police has totally put this on them so that they will not have the opportunity. And again, they will not have the access to housing, access to social care. All these things are taken away from them. We look at what is happening with the Windrush situation. Even up until today, the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, cannot give a record of how much people has been paid. I was listening to LBC radio a few days ago, and there's the journalist Nikki been speaking about the Windrush. And there was a black gentleman who came on, I was saying that he was in the army. He came here from the age of 7 years of age. He's been in the army for 15 years. He come out of the army and then he had his first job only to be told by the employer, I'm sorry, we found out that you have not got any stay in this country. Can you imagine? These people who served 15 years come out. That when I heard the gentleman on the radio speaking, he was distraught. He said he couldn't go to the supermarket. He had to have food bank. And even then he felt ashamed. He had no access to no medical care neither. And then when this came out that they're supposed to get compensation, he told the journalist that they sent him for nearly 40 years of his life to accept £18,000. It was unbelievable when I heard him on the radio. But he was saying, he said many people are like that who came in the Windrush. Many people have been swept under the carpet, gained a criminal record because they had no choice, because they didn't have access to anything. So the government has to look deeply at what is affecting this ethnic society and why they want to rebel so much. It's that they have not been given a fair share of the pie. And until those things have been addressed properly, we've had so many different people come to address them. And not even now in 2021, the Windrush situation has been going on for so long. And I'm so glad, and I want to move on about, George Floyd. I was in total euphoria when the verdict, was announced. This is a milestone. This situation that occur in the States, has been occurring here for a long, long time. But I hope now the light has shined on the people here in government to see that this situation cannot continue. We cannot allow for our black youths to be held on tube station, been apprehended, go through their pockets, searched because of the color of their skin. I know I'm interwoven so many things together, but because there's so much things that is moving at such a rapid pace and it's current, everything is moving from one week to the other. The pandemic, now it seems to be taking a back seat to so many other things. And last week, I was watching a video that someone sent me. Unbelievable. 3 black youths were in Brixton tube station outside. Police were going through their pockets. 13, 14, 15. They said their age. They asked the police, why are they stopping them? They said because they suspect them. You cannot go around because you have the law to say that you suspect people. You have to be able to see them do something, to see, smell, touch. That is part of the law. If you don't see that, then you cannot go around apprehending black youths like this, because you are putting a scar on them for life. The 3 black youths were not charged for anything. And when the police were challenged, they were saying they're in their rights to do this. Now, we have to look closely again at the law of tasering, because it was only yesterday that a police officer was at Birmingham Crown Court charged for manslaughter for tasering a black footballer 35 seconds more than what he should have, and kicked him in the head 3 times. This situation is very similar to George Floyd. And we are looking what the verdict is going to be at Birmingham Crown Court in this charge of the police. We're not taking a hit at the police because the police on a whole are there to serve and to protect. And it is we who have paid the taxpayers' money to keep the police in that job and to serve us. So therefore, they're accountable to us. And they should act in a proper manner within the law. And that is what we are looking for when it comes to black youths. We do not want black youths to think they've been targeted to gain a criminal record. This is Destiny Global TV. Please subscribe and leave your comment below.